Oh, for sure.
OFFA is celebrating 10 years, and it kind of crept up on me, to be honest, because it's gone really fast. And it's just been amazing that we got to this point. I'm like, oh my God, 10 years?
13 years ago, 12 years ago, I moved here from the UK and moved to a sleepy town called Oakville. And sitting in the town square one night, around 9:30 at night, realizing that it was very quiet.
You know, going back to the earliest days, when Judah Hernandez and I were sitting at a soccer game, I just finished my master's in cinema and media studies. And I was talking to Judah and I said, I've always wanted to start a film festival, and I went back to do my master's so I could do that. And he just looked at me and said, oh my God, I want to do that too.
She couldn't believe her ears because she was just thinking the same thing. Two very different people from two very different worlds connected like magnets.
We just did it. It's part of that entrepreneurial spirit to doing something like this, but it also goes back to just.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for staying for our exclusive Q&A live Q&A session for OFFA 3. How do you guys enjoy? Well, thank you so much for staying here for Exile. And we'd like to say another special hello to all of our friends at home watching on Facebook and YouTube. We're sorry you couldn't be here for the movie, but we're so glad you're joining us for this, our last conversation of the festival. I'm now joined on stage by Jason James, the director of the feature, who has just come in from the airport 2 hours ago and is now joining us here in the theater. And up on the screen, where once there was a movie, there is now an incredibly handsome and talented actor. You know this gentleman from work such as Flights of Our Fathers, Cowboys and Aliens, The Power of the Dog, and the 2021 OFFA selection film Percy. Adam Beach, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Adam, can you hear us?
I can hear you, dude.
Adam Beach, how are you, man? Good to see you.
How you doing, JJ? You doing good?
I'm good. Good to see your face. You look huge right now. Your face is like 10 feet high.
We should mention, Adam cannot see us in the theater. He can't see Jason, but we can see you and we can hear you. And we're so grateful for you staying up this late and joining us for this special Q&A. Thanks for being here, Adam.
Oh, my pleasure, man. This movie, I'm still healing from all the injuries, but, Jason has been good at, making sure that we had a quality film that people would enjoy.
We're going to go to the open floor for some questions in a bit, but we're going to start with some curated questions first to kick us off. So let's start with you, Jason. How did you come up with the concept for Exile? Where did the idea for this tense, thrilling movie come from?
Yeah, I mean, this was a script that was sent to me, and when I read it, I get sent a lot of scripts, and this one just really spoke to me in terms of what I was going through in my life at the time, but also, sure, also as a director, something I think about when I read the script is perspective. And what I really liked about this film is that the perspective kind of shifts and changes throughout the course of the film. And yeah, it was a fun challenge in terms of that.
So the genres of mystery and thriller are a bit more of a niche project to create it, and they require a lot of depth direction from the leader as they're learning how to stage it and how to build suspense effectively. How did you approach the thriller genre to create what was going to be ultimately the thrilling story we saw on the screen tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like my version of a thriller, which is basically a relationship drama. I really just about finding great actors, staying honest and grounded in the scenes, and everything else just kind of came from there. But it was really about these two actors.
So Adam, why don't you start by telling us what was your first impression when you read the script?
Well, the first impression was it's nothing I've ever seen before that has come my way. But also, too, when you involve mental health issues that I strongly advocate for, this is one of those movies that you have to really come across with a lot of empathy when someone is, in the dilemma of mental health issues. Where do you go from there?
Now, obviously, playing the lead part in this, it was mentally and physically taxing, I'm sure, to go through the motions of putting this story together. How important was empathy as a performer for you to take center stage as this main character?
Well, it all starts with the leadership roles that everybody plays in making a movie. Jason was just absolutely available at any time, very honest with how he wanted to approach the film, and he would sometimes ask us, just, be free with it. Don't struggle with the dialogue. Just allow yourself to say what you want to say. You already know who this character is. And at times I wanted to just stay on point with what was written, because a writer who goes to this depth, you have to try to find yourself to stay in that momentum. And Jason was always there to, make sure that we're in the right place, because emotionally, this has been like one of the toughest films I've ever done. And physicality, I was pretty injured throughout the film. And there's a scene in the cop station where I get tackled to the ground. Jason didn't know. I didn't really tell anybody, but my ribs were bruised, and had a Dr. Evan Adams from Smoke Signals was in the area, and he patched me up, and I was just on Tylenol, and I took it as far as I could go until someone stopped Jason and said, "I think we should move on. Adam's hurt." And he's like, "Oh, he is? I didn't know that."
Did you know?
But it was pretty cool.
I remember when we were in that creepy basement cellar set, he wasn't really acting at that point. He was actually pretty good. That was near the end of the shoot. It was a very grueling, taxing film. We were out in the elements. We were shooting in Powell, BC. We're in the middle of nowhere, really, and just kind of in the elements. There was an atmospheric river while we were shooting the film, in the forest, in the ocean, all of it. So it was a pretty ambitious, adventurous film. But just to add on to what Adam was saying, he brought so much of himself to this role, tapped into some personal stories that he has, and really connected with the character. And it was pretty amazing to watch and be a part of.
So for both of you, what was your greatest challenge, both as director and in playing Ted, that you encountered over the filming process?
Well, I think locations. You have to find something that embodies a character's description. And when you watch the movie and he's losing his mind in the middle of a junkyard, that is basically his world. Everything's just a junkyard around him when he starts to lose his place and reality. And those little things is what Jason was able to bring as a director. And when you continue to try to play with the audience, a lot of it is performance, yeah, but a lot of it is how do you, use the camera to make it work for you, to give the audience the feeling that they're actually there and something is actually wrong. And also budget. If you could find, go ahead, Jason.
Oh man, I was just gonna say the same thing. I think the biggest challenge, this is one of the smallest movies I've ever made. This was a script I was developing for a while. It was going to be a much bigger budget film. And some things happened, and it was just like, let's just find a bunch of like-minded individuals. Let's go to a cabin in the woods and let's make a film. And it was a really amazing, remarkable experience. But the hardest thing was to rewrite the script and reimagine it to what we could actually achieve. And so, as Adam was saying, it's like, I like to go out into the world and find the things around us. So we'll rewrite a scene for a junkyard, or rewrite, some of the set pieces of the movie to kind of match what we're actually able to achieve. And really just trying to focus on the performances and the cast. But I think just our ability to kind of execute some of that stuff at the budget level was probably the biggest challenge.
Well, I think that is a challenge you both succeeded in greatly. The clarity of the production value is quite quite high for the story. I think you did great. Nothing felt like you were holding back. It felt like a finished, clean product. And it really resonated, I think, with our audience tonight. So thank you both of you. I'd now like to take a little bit of time opening this to the floor. If you have a question you would like to ask either Jason or Adam, just put up your hand and I'll call you and put it into the mic just so both Adam can hear it and our live stream audience can hear it too. Hello, yes.
Yes, both actors were terrific. So are they both Canadian?
Are both of the lead actors Canadian? We're referring, of course, to Adam Beach and Camille Sullivan, who plays co-star Sarah.
Camille is from Vancouver. I know her in the acting community there. Adam and I met on a movie called Monkey Beach. And
awesome movie, by the way. If you have not seen Monkey Beach, go watch it.
I really just wanted to see him in this role, give him something different, something he's never really done before. And Adam, you're Canadian, right?
Yeah, I'm from Winnipeg. Vegas is pretty nice, man.
They were tremendous together. They really were. They were excellent.
We have a comment from the audience. They were tremendous together. They were truly excellent.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Camille for, man, a long time. And when I heard her name brought up, I was like, wow, finally, you know? And I think we have a lot of Canadian talent that is not used as much because we basically are, you know, there's a generalized system when it comes to Canadian films. And I think we need to stretch it out into the, I guess, the bigger structure of studios. And in order to do that, you have to individually access your own financing somehow. Someone has to invest in you because the Canadian system is very limited with their budget. And Jason was awesome. He was able to find this dude who gave him this top-notch camera in exchange to teach this guy a little bit about film and stuff. So, you know, you work at your best when you need to squeeze to get the most out of it.
I've also heard it said before that barriers impose creativity, and that often what sometimes seems as a restriction or a crisis turns out to be a blessing because it breeds new creative thinking and ideas too. Did that come into play at all over the course of production?
Yeah, of course.
What?
I was just going to say, you know, we live in Vancouver. We were originally scouting to shoot the movie in Vancouver, and Vancouver is burned for independent film. You know, all the Netflix, the CWs, all the Hollywood productions that shoot there have basically just driven the price up for locations, for equipment, for infrastructure. And so, you know, for a smaller indie film, we just decided, you know what, let's just go to this small town and see what's there and rewrite the script based on the things we find. So I think those limitations and being open to what's in front of you and how you can shift and change and adjust is, you know, that's what made this movie kind of what it is. I think place is a big part of this film, and nature is a big part of this film, and in terms of its thematic and kind of visual sense. And so all of those things we were able to kind of incorporate into this, you know, this specific version of this film.
Adam?
Well, I find that, you know, with respect to myself, and there's a thing called integrity that lies amongst everybody in the industry. And sometimes you have to feed yourselves in order to support your family or your kid or pay your rent, and etc. And when I started this business, I told myself that I was never, ever gonna downplay my integrity, even if I don't make any money, etc. And finding a film like this and having Jason trust someone like me to push the boundaries, that's what I'm looking for. And, you know, Jason, thank you for giving me the pleasure of working with you. And, but I think, you know, when it comes to something like this, you really need to know who you are to be able to translate the fears and the imaginary circumstances, and to be able to not only bring it as a performance, but take it home to you in the hotel and try to figure out what next drama is coming forward. And everybody we worked with on the crew, on the set, was able to observe where I was emotionally, mentally, and they would leave me alone, which was really nice. And I think that we wanted to take something that was really small and really try to change people who are going through this type of struggle when it comes to mental health.
Beautifully said. Thank you. We probably have time for one or two more questions. Yes, hello. How can other people see the film? So this was the Eastern Canada premiere tonight. But tell us, how else can people see the movie?
Yeah, it's gonna get out there. We've sold the movie, so Vortex Media are releasing the film theatrically in Canada.
Do you know when it's being released?
No, maybe this fall, winter. It's a fall, winter movie. Electric Entertainment picked it up in the US. They'll be releasing it, and then nicely internationally. So it'll play on all your streaming platforms, into movie theaters. You'll be able to find it soon.
So likely releasing theatrically later this fall or winter, and then coming streaming probably next year is our best guess. But congratulations on the sale of your film. That's outstanding. And we can't wait for other people to see it as well. I believe we have one more question in the purple jacket. Yes.
How did you prepare for this role when there was so much emotion and playing a role with mental health?
So the question is for you, Adam. How did you prepare for a role so rich in emotion and with so many mental health issues?
Great question.
Wow. You know, when people get to understand my personal life, it starts with the deaths of my parents when I was 8 years old. My mother was hit by a drunk driver in front of my house. She was 8 months pregnant. So I lost a sister, and then my father died 2 months later. So that is a beginning of a very strenuous relationship with my mother and father that I still carry to this day. And you have to trust that when you feel your most fear, you have to let people in to see it. And that's what I wanted people to be a part of. Like, just even the scene when I'm in jail, growing up in the gang system in Winnipeg, I left at about 24. And in that time, growing up as a Native man in Winnipeg, you prepared yourself to if you went to jail. And I have relatives and friends who are in jail today, to this day. And that was kind of like my interpretation of how I would carry myself if I was ever in that position, where you have the fear and the bravado at the same time. But it's a really scary place. And when people see a film like this, I want them to actually imagine them as themselves in that position. And the only way you could do that is unleashing your truth and your fears, and know that someone like Jason and Camille will keep you dialed in, because they are just honest to how it looks and feels. Like, if it didn't look good, we would have to do it again. And I don't mind that, but I think all of us just have to, you know, share a little bit more of our hurts, I guess you would say. But, you know, people take advantage of that too.
Well, for this evening, thank you very much for your vulnerability and sharing that with us, Adam. I think we can all say we deeply appreciate you in that experience. So I know it's very personal, but thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you, everybody, for being here and, you know, seeing something that was really special. And we hope would you provide another film along the way?
And with that, I think we're out of time for this evening. But ladies and gentlemen, please join me again in congratulating our guests tonight, Jason James and Adam B, for joining us here, especially for our last night here at the Oakville Film Festival. Just a reminder, if you love Exile and it is eligible for the Audience Choice Award here at the festival, and those votes are open until June 30th, if you would like to vote for Exile, or any of the features you've seen this week, you can do so by using the email on your ticket on Eventive and voting for it online. There is a prize, don't forget, someone is winning a cruise to the Mediterranean for 2 next summer just for voting online. So make sure you put those votes in, and we can't wait to get the results. Beyond that, that concludes this evening's presentation. We want to thank all of our sponsors. We want to thank CHCH and Film.ca Cinemas for making this specific screen happening. And thank you for joining us this weekend here at the Oakville Film Festival. Have a safe trip home, everybody. We really appreciate you being here tonight. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
And good night to our friends at home as well.
Bye, everybody. Good to see you.
Cool, dude. Later. Happy Father's Day, everybody, and enjoy your